My poor girlfriend of 3 years suddenly had her real identity exposed. It turns out she's the sole heiress to the richest family, worth hundreds of billions. My best buddy earnestly tried to persuade me, top-tier rich girls like her play poor just to experience life. Sooner or later, she's going back for a political marriage. Run away gracefully now before you get dumped. I thought that made total sense. I packed my bags overnight and ran, but before I could even leave the train station, I was completely surrounded by over a dozen Maybachs. The same girl who used to hesitate over buying a single cup of boba was now wearing a haute couture trench coat, tightly grabbing my wrist with red, teary eyes, her voice trembling uncontrollably. Just to keep you from feeling insecure. I painstakingly pretended to be poor for 3 whole years. And now that you've used me, you just want to run? I looked at her tear-rimmed eyes, and then at the row of sunglasses-wearing bodyguards beside her, whose muscles were practically bursting out of their black suits. The cold wind at the entrance blew against my cheap plaid shirt. I swallowed hard. Wei, calm down. I am calm. She bit her lower lip, tears welling up in her eyes, stubbornly refusing to let them fall. You bought a standing ticket overnight to flee back to your hometown, without even saying goodbye. How am I supposed to calm down? I opened my mouth, but no sound came out, because Guzi Hao's words from last night at the BBQ stall were still echoing in my head. Bro, listen to me. A top-tier financial heiress like her is just descended to experience mortal struggles. Once she's done tasting hardship, she'll turn around and marry some high-society prince, and you won't even have a shoulder to cry on. Before she dumps you, you should leave first. At least that preserves your last bit of dignity as a man. I thought Guzi Hao was right, so I ran. I just didn't expect her bodyguards to be faster than a bullet train. I tried to reason with her. It's not that I want to use you and leave. I just think our class gap is too big. You're bound to go back for a political marriage eventually. Bai Shuiwei froze. She stared at me for 5 full seconds, then turned to the 2-meter-tall head bodyguard beside her. Uncle Wang, open the door. Uncle Wang expressionlessly opened the door to the central Maybach. Bai Shuiwei shoved me right inside, her movement extremely rough, showing none of her usual delicacy, where she couldn't even unscrew a water bottle cap. The car door slammed shut. I sat on the genuine leather seat, staring at a row of foreign liquor bottles in the wine cabinet that I couldn't read. Bai Zuiwei sat beside me and pressed a button inside the car. A huge screen descended in front of us. The screen lit up, showing dozens of suits, gray-haired, middle-aged, and elderly people, all seated in various high-end conference rooms. Hello, Chairman. Dozens of voices spoke in unison, echoing through the car speakers so loudly that my eardrums throbbed. With a cold face, Bai Shuiwei grabbed my hand and raised it to the camera. Listen up, directors. This is Lin Zhao, my fiancée. The screen fell dead silent for 3 whole seconds, followed by a collective, heavily suppressed gasp. If anyone dares send profiles of potential marriage matches to my office again, pack your bags and get out of Bai Corporation tomorrow. The moment she finished speaking, she cut the feed directly. The screen went dark, and the car fell dead silent. She turned her head to look at me, her eyes still red, yet her chin was tilted up stubbornly. Is there still a political marriage now? I looked at her, my brain running at high speed, trying to judge the weight of that video meeting. I cautiously opened my mouth. When you cut the video just now, it looked like that old man in the top left was having a heart attack. Bai Zhuiwei took a deep breath. Lin Zhao, are your priorities completely messed up? I stayed quiet because the car was driving into an estate spanning 20,000 square meters. Looking out the window at the endless lawn and the castle-like European architecture in the distance, I realized Guzi Hao was an absolute idiot. Why did I run? I should have just surrendered to luxury. Bai Zuiwei said coldly, Get off. I clutched my cheap woven bag tightly. Wei, I think we still need to talk. Bai Zuiwei waved her hand. Escort young master to the master bedroom to rest. My eyes widened. Young master? She said coldly. Yes. From today onwards, you are confined here, until you completely drop the idea of running away. I was led upstairs by 2 maidservants, and the door locked behind me. Looking at this bedroom bigger than my entire family home, I fell into deep thought. Confined in the master bedroom. Young master, it is time for your bird's nest soup. A butler in a tailcoat stood by the bed, holding a blue and white porcelain bowl. Sitting in the 200-square-meter bedroom, looking up at the crystal chandelier big enough to crush someone to death, I said, "My name isn't Young Master. It's Lin Zhao." "Very well, Young Master Lin." The butler put down the bird's nest soup, bowed, and exited. The door closed, and I frantically began rewinding the past 3 years. 3 years ago, Bai Zhouwei ducked into the convenience store where I worked on a rainy day, soaked to the bone. And that cheap-looking glass cup she usually drank water from, I saw the exact same one on an auction news pop-up 2 days ago. Ming Dynasty crystal glass cup, final bid 12 million RMB. I used a 12 million RMB antique cup every day to make her instant cold medicine, and I even scrubbed the tea stains off the bottom with steel wool. I covered my face, completely overwhelmed by resentful poverty and existential shock. The door opened, and Bai Zhouwei walked in holding a plate of sliced fruit. She had changed into loungewear, but the watch on her wrist was so blinding it hurt my eyes. "Are you still angry?" She walked over and sat on the edge of the bed, her voice turned soft and gentle again. I looked at her. "Is that glass cup really from the Ming Dynasty?" Bai Zhouwei paused. "You noticed? And is that woven bag from Bottega Veneta?" She lowered her head. "Grandpa gave me that for my birthday. I couldn't find a crappier-looking bag at the time." I took a deep breath. "Do you know I ate instant noodles for 3 days? Just to buy you that 50 yuan thermos?" Bai Zhouwei's eyes instantly turned red again. "I know!" She put down the fruit plate, threw her arms around my waist, and buried her face into my chest. "In your eyes, Lin Zhao. Do you think acting poor was easy for me?" Her tears soaked into my shirt. "To keep you from realizing that cup was an antique, I had to secretly polish it with special solution every single day, and pretend it was just cheap streetwear. And to match you eating at street stalls, I had to take stomach medicine every night. I didn't even dare add an egg to my crepe, because you said adding an egg was too luxurious." The more she talked, the more aggrieved she felt, until she burst out crying aloud. "I worked so hard searching for things that looked beat up but were insanely expensive. Do you think it was easy for me?" I froze on the spot, my hand hovering in midair. I actually felt like she made a fair point. Wait, no! I'm getting brainwashed by capitalist logic. I struggled to ask, "So, why did you pretend in the first place?" "Because you said you hated rich people the most." She looked up, her eyes watery and wide. "You said rich people were all vampires with no genuine feelings." "I was scared you wouldn't want me." I stared at her, a 12 million yuan cup, a limited edition global luxury bag, and that bowl of bird's nest soup of unknown astronomical value. I closed my eyes. Wei. From now on, when we eat crepes, we'll add 2 eggs. She broke into a smile through her tears. "Okay." Suddenly, heavy footsteps echoed outside the door. "Bai Zhouwei, you've really grown some nerve, haven't you?" A cold male voice burst into the room. I opened my eyes. Looking at the man standing at the doorway in a black custom suit, whose eyes were so cold they looked like they could kill, alarm bells went off in my head. "Brother!" Bai Zhouwei stepped back out of my embrace and stood up straight. Sitting on the bed, I looked at the man she called her brother, Bai Yichen, head of a top-tier financial conglomerate, the man who always had a stone-cold face on business magazine covers. Right now, he was looking at me like I was absolute trash. "So this is the man you pretended to be poor for 3 years for?" Bai Yichen walked in, his leather shoes stepping onto the Persian rug without making a single sound. Yet the aura of pressure radiating off him made it hard for me to breathe. He walked to the bedside, looking down at me condescendingly. "Lin Zhao, right?" I nodded, keeping quiet, because I knew the classic trope was about to happen. He would pull a check out of his jacket, slap it in my face, and tell me to take the money and get out of his sister's life. I was already fully prepared. The moment he slapped that check down, I would stand up, deliver a grand speech about how love is priceless, and then make a dignified exit. After all, Guzi Hao had said, money from wealthy dynasties isn't easy to take. Taking it cuts your lifespan short. Sure enough, Bai Yichen reached into his inner suit pocket. He pulled out a checkbook, uncapped a fountain pen, swiftly scribbled his signature, tore off a page, and slapped it onto the nightstand in front of me, all in one smooth, practiced movement. He sneered. "Name your price." I took a deep breath, preparing to stand up. "Mr. Bai, I may be poor, but I have backbone." I looked him dead in the eye, delivering every word clearly. "I am with Wei Wei, not for your family's money, so please take back this check. I will not leave her." Beside us, Bai Shuiwei covered her mouth in emotional overwhelm. Bai Yichen froze. He looked at me, then looked at the check. "Are you sick in the head?" He knitted his brows. "Who asked you to leave her?" I was stunned. Bai Yichen pointed at the blank check. "This is your betrothal gift." He gritted his teeth and said, "Hurry up and write a number." This girl pretended to be poor for 3 years at home. Going out to collect junk every single day, my head was about to explode. "If you don't take this check today, it means you look down on our Bai family." My hands clutching the bed sheets trembled slightly. Betrothal gift?" Bai Yichen snorted coldly. "Otherwise? You thought I was going to throw money at you to make you leave? I can't wait for you to take her off my hands, so she stops throwing wild tantrums at board meetings every day." I turned to look at Bai Shuiwei. She lowered her head, looking a little embarrassed. "Brother, don't scare him." Bai Yichen pointed to his dark eye circles. "Me? Scare him? You called me in the middle of the night, saying he ran away, telling me to mobilize all resources to block the high-speed rail station. I am the president of the Bai Group. Calling the Railway Bureau at midnight to track down a guy in a plaid shirt?" The more Bai Yichen spoke, the more worked up he got. In the end, he shoved the fountain pen straight into my hand. "Fill it out. If it's less than 8 figures, I won't recognize you as my brother-in-law." Holding that heavy fountain pen, staring at the blank check stamped with the official seal of Bai Group. Why were the plots of wealthy families completely different from the web novels? I swallowed hard. Big Brother Bai. Call me brother." I naturally went with the flow. "Brother, does this money need to be taxed?" Bai Yichen looked at me, a flash of complex emotion in his eyes. "I'll have finance handle the tax evasion." He patted my shoulder. "Kid, I have high hopes for you." With that, he turned around and strode out of the room, leaving me and Bai Shuiwei staring at each other. I asked, "Has your brother always been this approachable?" Bai Shuiwei sighed. "He's just way too eager to marry me off." Looking at the check in my hand, I realized Guzi Hao wasn't just an idiot, he was completely blind. This wasn't descending to experience mortal struggles. This was clearly the god of wealth bestowing a miracle. "Wei Wei. Yeah? Tomorrow let's go buy a new cup." "Why?" "That Ming Dynasty one. It burns my hands just holding it." There was a high-end cocktail party that evening, and Bai Shuiwei insisted on taking me, saying she wanted to formally introduce me to her social circle. Wearing the custom suit sent over by Bai Yichen, I stood in the corner of the magnificent banquet hall, holding a glass of orange juice, because I didn't recognize any of the wine brands and was afraid of making a fool of myself. Bai Shuiwei was dragged away by several socialites for photos, and I was happy to enjoy the peace, until a man in a white suit walking as if he had his own BGM approached me. Leng Wuji, the only son of the Leng Corporation. Guzi Hao had briefed me before. He was one of the most untouchable, rich-spoiled heirs in this city. He walked up to me, scanned me up and down, his eyes filled with unhidden contempt. "So this is the live-in son-in-law the Bai family handpicked?" Swirling the red wine glass in his hand, his voice wasn't loud, but just enough for everyone around to hear. "Looks decent enough? Too bad he's just a freeloading gold digger." Subdued chuckles echoed around us. Looking at him, I was actually a bit panicked inside. After all, yesterday I was still bargaining over a 10 yuan meal box with a vendor, and today I had to face a young master worth hundreds of billions. This kind of class suppression felt carved into my bones. I took a deep breath, preparing to follow the submissive tactic Guzi Hao taught me. Apologize first to smooth things over. "Young Master Leng, you misunderstand. Wei Wei and I genuinely love each other." I tried my best to make my voice sound firm. Leng Wuji scoffed. "Genuinely love each other?" He took a step closer. "What's your monthly salary? Is it enough to buy one pair of Wei Wei's shoes? How can you give her happiness? Relying on your cheap self-esteem?" He slammed his wine glass onto the table nearby. If you know what's good for you, get lost on your own. Bai Shui Wei can only belong to me. I gripped my orange juice glass, my knuckles turning white. That long-lost sense of insecurity surged back like a tide. He was right. I really couldn't give her anything. Leng Wuji, watch your mouth. A cold voice came from behind me. Bai Shui strode over, wearing a red evening gown, like a blazing fire, shielding me directly behind her. Lin Zhao is my fiancé. If you dare order him around again, I'll have Bai Group cancel all collaborations with your Leng family tomorrow. She was trembling with rage. Looking at her back, seeing her ready to cut ties with the Leng family on the spot just to defend me, I suddenly had an epiphany. Why should I feel insecure? Why should I endure this? I had a blank check given by Bai Yichen in my pocket, and a fiancé worth hundreds of billions standing right in front of me. What on earth was I afraid of? I put down my orange juice, took a step forward, gently hugged Bai Shui Wei from behind, and rested my chin on her shoulder. Wei Wei. I intentionally lowered my voice, making my tone sound weak and aggrieved. He yelled at me! Bai Shui Wei froze. Leng Wuji froze too. The crowd watching the drama completely stiffened up. I clutched my stomach, frowning slightly. Wei Wei, my stomach hurts. Looking at Leng Wuji's expression, like he had just swallowed a fly, I continued outputting. The doctor said, I can only live off a woman for the rest of my life. The banquet hall fell dead silent. Bai Shui Wei turned her head, looking at me, a flash of shock in her eyes which quickly turned into pure ecstasy. She wrapped her arms back around me. Good, good. Then live off me. I'll support you for the rest of your life. She turned around, glaring fiercely at Leng Wuji. Leng Wuji, did you hear that? My fiancé has a bad stomach. He can't handle being frightened. Apologize to him right now. Leng Wuji's face turned the color of a pig's liver. He pointed at me, his finger trembling uncontrollably. Do you have no shame at all? I buried my face a bit deeper into Bai Shui Wei's neck. Wei Wei! He yelled at me again. Bai Shui Wei immediately picked up a red wine glass from the table. Leng Wuji! If you don't cut it out, I'm splashing this on you. Leng Wuji was so furious he nearly had a heart attack. He glared viciously at me. Fine! Lin Zhao, just you wait. He turned around and stormed off. Leaning against Bai Shui Wei's shoulder, watching his pathetic departure, I couldn't help sighing. The sweet taste of freeloading is truly intoxicating. The next day, Bai Shui Wei's best friend Su Yurong paid a visit. I actually knew this Su Yurong too. Over the past 3 years, she and Bai Shui Wei had co-rented an apartment in that rundown urban village. Every time I went to see Bai Shui Wei, Su Yurong would complain about prices being too high and rent being too expensive. She had even borrowed 200 wen from me to pay for utilities. So when I saw a Pagani Huayra, one of only 5 in the world, parked at the estate gate, I didn't connect it with Su Yurong at all. Not until the butterfly doors swung up like wings, and Su Yurong, dressed in custom Chanel and red-bottom heels, stepped out. Taking off her sunglasses, she said, Wei Wei, your family's doorway threshold is way too high. My sports car's chassis almost scraped on it. Standing on the steps, still holding the pruning shears I meant to use for watering plants, I called out, Su Yurong? She turned to look at me, grinning like a sly fox. Lin Zhao, about that 200 wen for utilities. How about I pay you back 2 million? I put down the pruning shears expressionlessly. You were pretending too? Su Yurong said unapologetically. Yeah! I'm a shipping tycoon's daughter, just accompanying Wei Wei to experience normal life. If her cover hadn't been blown, I could have kept fake acting for another 2 years. I turned to look at Bai Shui Wei. Do all you rich people have some weird special hobby? Bai Shui Wei shifted her gaze guiltily. Right at that moment, a taxi pulled up outside the main gate of the estate. Gu Zihao dashed out of the car, running while shouting at the top of his lungs, Lin Zhao! Bro, I'm here to rescue you! He rushed through the gate and immediately spotted the Pagani parked next to the fountain, as well as Su Yurong standing beside the car. Gu Zihao's steps ground to a sudden halt. He stared at Su Yurong, his expression shifting from shock to confusion, and finally into some kind of weirdly absurd confidence. I knew that look all too well. It was the signal that he had read way too many CEO romance novels and was ready to put them into practice. He adjusted his cheap jacket, walked right up to Su Yurong, leaned one hand against the hood of the Pagani, and spoke in a voice he thought sounded deep and seductive. "Woman, this sports car you rented must cost quite a bit per day, doesn't it?" The air suddenly went quiet. Su Yurong looked at him like she was looking at an alien. "Rented?" Gu Zihao gave a wicked smirk. "Stop pretending. I know gold diggers like you who want to snag a rich husband. Renting this car for a day must cost 20,000, right? Just to step through the Bai family's front gate. You really poured in a fortune." I painfully covered my face. Gu Zihao, shut up! Gu Zihao ignored me and kept firing away at Su Yurong. "However, you have caught my attention. Tell you what, return the car and come with me. Though I have no money, I can offer you the purest form of love." Su Yurong fell silent for a full 10 seconds. Then she erupted into earth-shattering laughter, laughing until tears came out. "Wei Wei! Which mental hospital did your husband's buddy escape from?" Bai Zuiwei was also laughing so hard she couldn't double over. Gu Zihao furrowed his brows. "Woman, are you playing hard to get?" Having laughed her fill, Su Yurong walked up to Gu Zihao, extended a finger and poked his chest. "Kid, this car. 40 million. Paid in full. Under my name." Gu Zihao froze. Su Yurong leaned in close to him, her sweet breath brushing his face. "Also, my name is Su Yurong, sole heir to Su Shipping Lines. What kind of love did you just say you were going to give me?" Gu Zihao's face instantly turned pale. He turned to look at me, his eyes filled with desperate signals for help. I sighed. "Bro, I told you long ago. Read fewer CEO novels." Looking at Gu Zihao's blissfully ignorant innocence, Su Yurong seemed to find it immensely entertaining. Though that line just now, "Woman, you have caught my attention," you delivered it quite smoothly. She grabbed Gu Zihao by his collar. "Come on, accompany Big Sister for a cup of coffee. Let's see how many more CEO lines you've got." Gu Zihao was dragged onto the Pagani like a helpless little chick. The engine roared, and the sports car sped away in a cloud of dust. Watching the receding taillights, I realized my sole backer had completely fallen into enemy hands. On Monday, I went to work at the company as usual. Even though I currently held an 8-figure check in my pocket, I was still a working man with professional ethics. As soon as I sat down, however, the department manager slammed a termination notice right in front of me. "Lin Zhao, you're fired." The manager was a balding, middle-aged man who was usually quite polite to me. Yet today, he acted completely arrogant and overbearing. I looked at the notice. Why? "My performance last month ranked first in the whole team," the manager scoffed. "There is no why. Someone doesn't want you working in this industry anymore. If you know what's good for you, pack up your things and get lost." I understood instantly. Leng Wuji, he made ruthless threats at the party yesterday and made his move today. She used her connections to get me unreasonably fired from my company, wanting to see me destitute and begging for mercy. Looking at the manager's smug face, I said nothing, quietly pulled out a cardboard box and began packing up my desk. The manager sneered mockingly from the side. "Young man, offending someone you shouldn't offend? This is the consequence. You thought clinging to a high branch would turn you into a phoenix? Dream on." I tossed the last marker into the box, picked it up, and walked up to him. "Manager." "What? Want to beg me?" "No," I said earnestly. "Your toupee is crooked." The manager instinctively clutched his head. Holding the box, I turned around and walked out of the office. Reaching the lobby downstairs just as I was about to call a cab, a black Rolls-Royce Phantom pulled up smoothly in front of me. The car door opened, and Bai Zuiwei's chief assistant, dressed in sharp professional attire and high heels, stepped out. "Mr. Lin." She bowed respectfully to me, then handed me a thick document. "What is this?" The assistant smiled gently. "This is the full acquisition contract for your company. Miss Bai said since this company made you unhappy, she'd buy it outright, leaving its life or death entirely for you to decide." I was stunned. I took the contract, where black ink on white paper clearly spelled out the acquisition terms. I handed the cardboard box to the bodyguard beside me. "Let's go," the assistant asked. "Where to?" I straightened my tie. "Back upstairs, to hold a morning meeting." 10 minutes later, I walked back into that very same office. Balding manager Wang was sitting right in my seat, flipping through my work notes. Seeing me walk in, he sprang up abruptly. "Didn't you get lost already? Why are you back again? Security! Security!" I ignored him completely, walked straight over to the head seat of the conference table, and sat down. The assistant followed right behind me and slammed that acquisition contract onto the table with a loud thud. The assistant spoke coldly. "Manager Wang, as of right now, Mr. Lin Zhao takes full charge of this company. You are fired." The manager froze in disbelief. He looked at the assistant, then looked at the contract, his face turning instantly pale. This is impossible!" He rushed over, flipped open the contract, and saw the official seals and signatures. It was as if all the strength was drained from him. He collapsed directly onto the floor. He looked up at me, his lips trembling uncontrollably. Mr. Lin. Mr. Lin, I was wrong. I was only acting on young Master Lang's orders." He scrambled over on hands and knees, trying to grab my legs to beg. "Mr. Lin, please give me another chance. I have the elderly and young children to support at home." I shifted my chair backward, avoiding his hands. "Manager Wang." I looked down at him. "Young man, offending someone you shouldn't offend, this is the consequence. I return your exact words to you. Security, please escort him out." Watching the manager being dragged away pathetically by security, I leaned back into the executive leather chair, picked up the freshly brewed premium Da Hong Pao tea and took a sip. The sweet taste of freeloading was indeed intoxicating. Late at night, in the quiet house, I took a shower and dried my hair as I walked into the master bedroom. I'm just an ordinary working guy. Even if you wanted to pretend to be poor, with your background, you could easily find a man 10,000 times better than me. Why did you throw yourself at me? Bai Shuiwei set down her tablet, turned over, sat up, and looked at me. Her eyes suddenly turned deep and intense. Without saying a word, she turned around and opened the nightstand drawer. She pulled out an exquisite rosewood box, opened it. There were no jewels or fine jewelry inside, only a tattered folding umbrella and a yellowed 10-yuan bill, mended together with clear tape. I was stunned. It was pouring rain that night. I didn't have a single penny on me. I was running high with a fever. Running in the rain for a long time. I thought I was going to die that night. She turned to look at me, her eyes brimming with tears. It was you. You passed by after finishing your night shift and saw me collapsed on the roadside. You not only gave me your umbrella, draped your only jacket over me, but also carried me on your back for 3 kilometers to the hospital. You covered my medical expenses and handed me the last 10 yuan you had, telling me to take a taxi home. She picked up that 10 yuan note. That was the lowest point of your life, and also the darkest moment of mine. But you were the only light that night. I fell silent. Memories from 5 years ago gradually grew clear. That day, I had just been laid off by a company. After paying rent, I only had a few dozen yuan left to my name. I really did rescue a girl back then. Because it was so dark and her face was covered in mud and rainwater, I hadn't seen her appearance clearly at all. I only remembered she kept shivering non-stop. So, you searched for me for 2 years? She nodded. I investigated for a long time, before I finally found you. Then I moved near the convenience store where you worked, and launched my plan to pretend to be poor. I really am deeply touched. But, I sighed, patting her back gently. Wei, that 10 yuan was actually my meal money for that day. I looked at the ceiling, my tone laced with deep sorrow. That night, I starved the entire night. Bai Shuiwei froze completely. She lifted her head from my chest, her face full of utter astonishment. Huh? I continued, adding, and that jacket? It was my only presentable suit jacket. Because I gave it to you. I had to wear a t-shirt to my interview the next day, and got rejected on the spot. Bai Shuiwei's emotional composure collapsed entirely. She stared at me, tears still hanging from her eyelashes, yet her mouth was agape wide. Lin Zhao, bringing this up right now. Don't you think it completely ruins the mood? I'm just stating facts. I patted her head gently. Still, for the sake of that 8-figure check, I forgive you. On the weekend, it was Old Master Bai's 80th birthday. The banquet was hosted at a 7-star hotel under the Bai Corporation. Political and business elites gathered in full force. This was my first formal appearance as the Bai family's prospective grandson-in-law. Dressed in a bespoke suit, I stood alongside Bai Suiwei, trying my best to maintain a proper, polite smile. Right at that moment, the grand doors of the banquet hall were pushed open. Leng Wuji walked in arm with a woman in a revealing evening gown. Xia Yanran, Bai Suiwei's arch-nemesis, and a notorious social climber in high society. Behind them followed 2 more people, a man and a woman, wearing faded coarse cloth clothes, holding several large woven sacks in their hands. I froze. Those were my older brother Lin Mo and older sister Lin Ru. They ran a small supermarket while farming back in the countryside. I had originally planned to find time after the birthday banquet to take Bai Shuiwei back home to meet them. I never expected Leng Wuji to actually drag them all the way here. I heard the Lin family's brother and sister were coming. Why didn't you give us a heads up beforehand? Leng Wuji walked up in front of us, speaking loud enough for the entire banquet hall to hear. I specifically sent a car to the countryside to pick them up, just so they could witness what a truly elite family looks like. Xia Yanran covered her mouth and giggled sneeringly. That's right. Mr. Lin has soared to the top now. He surely can't forget his poor relatives, can he? The surrounding elites all turned their heads, their eyes filled with disdain and eager anticipation for drama. Bai Suiwei's face turned livid. Just as she was about to explode, I pressed down on her hand. I walked over to my brother and sister. Brother, sister, why are you here? Lin Mo rubbed his hands together awkwardly. Zhao, that young Master Leng said you were getting engaged today, and insisted on bringing us over. Lin Ru held out the woven sack in her hands. We didn't know what to buy, so we brought some homegrown pumpkins and freshly laid farm eggs. As soon as those words were spoken, a burst of roaring laughter erupted across the banquet hall. Xia Yanran laughed so hard she trembled. Pumpkins? Farm eggs? Mr. Lin, your family sure is truly organic, huh? Leng Wuji was even more smug and triumphant. Old Master Bai, this is the man your granddaughter picked. A bunch of country bumpkins, bringing pumpkins to celebrate a birthday. What an absolute laughingstock to the world. He attempted to use this method to make the Bai family completely lose face in front of high society. Old Master Bai sat at the main table, frowning slightly, saying nothing. Looking at Leng Wuji's petty, triumphant face, I didn't get angry. Instead, I found him pitiful. I turned around, took the woven sack from my sister's hands, and walked up to Old Master Bai. Grandpa, I spoke neither humbly nor arrogantly. My brother and sister are ordinary farmers. They don't understand valuable calligraphy or paintings, nor do they understand antique jade or jewelry. I opened up the sack, revealing the golden yellow pumpkins and squeaky clean farm eggs inside. But these pumpkins were grown by their own hands without a single drop of pesticide, and these eggs were gathered from the mountain before crack of dawn every day. They knew you lacked for nothing, so they could only bring you what they considered the cleanest and absolute best. I looked into the old man's eyes. This isn't organic. This is true sincerity. The entire banquet hall instantly fell silent. Nobody was laughing anymore. Old Master Bai looked at the pumpkins and eggs, remaining silent for a long moment. Then he stood up, walked over in front of me, and personally reached out to pat the pumpkin. Good! The old master bellowed with vigor. He turned to glare at Leng Wuji. Kid of the Leng family, do you even know what precious means? The old master scoffed coldly. I've spent a lifetime eating delicacies and seeing fake, hypocritical pleasantries. Today, these pumpkins and farm eggs are 10,000 times more precious than the cheap junk you people presented. He turned to face Lin Mo and Lin Ru. Lin, family brother and sister, please take the seats of honor. This afternoon, we'll feast on these pure organic pumpkins. Leng Wuji's smirk froze dead on his face, and Xia Yanran turned ghostly pale. Their carefully orchestrated schemes were thoroughly bankrupt. Bai Shuiwei walked over, linked her arm in mine, and looked at Leng Wuji. Young Master Leng, aren't you scrambling out of here yet? Or are you waiting for me to call security? Grit his teeth, Leng Wuji slunk out of the banquet hall in disgrace, dragging Xia Yanren along. Watching my brother and sister treated as honored guests, I smiled. I had also severely underestimated Bai Shuiwei's security level. That day, I happened to be wearing the high-end trench coat Bai Shuiwei gave me, wearing a face mask to grab coffee downstairs. Just as I stepped out of the building, I was bagged in a burlap sack by a van crew. When the hood was yanked off my head, I found myself tied to a chair in an abandoned warehouse, with Leng Wuji standing before me wearing a sinister sneer. "Lin Zhao, today is the day you die." He held a baseball bat in his hand. "I want Bai Shuiwei to watch with her own eyes. How the man she chose turns into a cripple." I blinked at him. "Young Master Leng, are you blind?" I pointed at myself. "If you wanted to kidnap Bai Shuiwei, why kidnap me?" Leng Wuji stared blankly. He inspected me closely, then looked at the timid kidnapper boss beside him. "I told you to kidnap the person wearing a khaki trench coat." "Why did you bring back a guy?" The kidnapper boss rubbed his hands aggrievedly. "Boss?" He was wearing a khaki trench coat and wearing a mask, plus his build was slender. We thought, useless trash. Leng Wuji slapped the kidnapper over the head. He turned around, glaring fiercely at me. "Whatever. Kidnapping you works all the same. I'll call Bai Shuiwei right now and make her trade Bai Corporation shares to get you back." Just as he pulled out his phone, a deafening roar suddenly rumbled outside the warehouse, as if some massive behemoth was approaching. Next came wild, gusting winds. The warehouse's corrugated tin roof rattled violently. Leng Wuji's expression turned pale. "What's going on?" He ran to the window to look outside and froze entirely. I followed his gaze. 3 private helicopters painted with the Bai Group logo were hovering directly above the warehouse. Dozens of black armored bulletproof SUVs surrounded the abandoned factory so tightly not a drop could leak out. The car doors swung open and hundreds of fully armed bodyguards stormed out. Finally, the center Maybachs door opened. Bai Shuiwei, dressed in a black leather outfit, stepped out with a meter-long machete in hand, radiating murderous intent. "Leng Wuji!" Her voice echoed across the factory through loudspeakers. "If you dare harm a single hair on my man, I'll chop you up and feed you to the dogs today." The baseball bat in Leng Wuji's hand dropped to the ground with a smack. His legs went weak, and he collapsed straight onto his knees. "Crazy! She's a lunatic!" He scrambled on hands and knees out of the warehouse, not to fight back, but rushing toward the newly arrived police cars. He tightly hugged a police officer's leg, crying with snot and tears streaming down his face. "Officer, hurry and arrest me! I kidnapped someone. I confess. Please throw me in jail right now. That crazy woman wants to hack me to pieces." The police officers were completely bewildered. Sitting in my chair, I watched Bai Shuiwei charge into the warehouse with the machete, slash the ropes off me with one strike, and wrap me into a tight embrace. "Lin Zhao, are you all right? Are you hurt anywhere?" She nervously checked over my body. Looking at the machete in her hand, I swallowed hard. "Wei, I'm fine." "But," I pointed outside, "isn't this scene a bit too over the top?" Bai Shuiwei snorted softly. "Anyone who dares touch my man gets what they deserve." She tossed the machete to a bodyguard nearby, turned to look at me, her eyes softening again. "Let's go. We're going home." 3 months later, Leng Wuji was formally arrested for suspected kidnapping and corporate crime, and the Leng Group went completely bankrupt under the Bai family's pressure. Meanwhile, I welcomed my wedding of the century. The wedding took place on a private island under the Bai name. That comedy duo, Gu Zihao and Su Yurong, became our best man and maid of honor. Gu Zihao, dressed in a custom suit, still couldn't shake off his dramatic CEO complex. During the wedding rehearsal, he insisted on dragging Su Yurong into acting out a domineering CEO crashing a wedding drama, only to be kicked straight into the ocean by Su Yurong. "Mr. Lin, ready to make your grand entrance?" In the dressing room, Bai Yichen patted my shoulder. His attitude now was infinitely better than 3 months ago. After all, I had officially taken charge of the Bai Group's most profitable subsidiaries and doubled their revenue. I adjusted my bow tie. "Bro, I'm a bit nervous." "Nervous about what?" "You've accepted the money, and the person is yours too." Bai Yichen chuckled. "Let's go. Wei is waiting for you." I took a deep breath, stepped out of the dressing room, and walked onto the red carpet strewn with rose petals. Bai Shewei wore a wedding dress hand-stitched by dozens of French artisans, guided by old Master Bai, as she slowly walked toward me. She was stunningly beautiful beyond words. Looking at her, every moment from the past few months flashed through my mind, from the Maybach blockade at the high-speed rail station to that Ming Dynasty glass cup, from Bai Yichen's blank check to her barging in with a machete to rescue me. It all felt like an absurd yet sweet dream. After the priest finished reciting the vows, it came time to exchange rings. I took the microphone, looking at the crowd below, at those who used to look down on and mock me. A few of Leng Wuji's cronies sitting in the corner didn't even dare to breathe heavily right now. I cleared my throat and spoke with solemn seriousness. Today, in front of everyone, I want to make an announcement. Silence fell over the venue. Bai Suiwei also looked at me with a touch of surprise. I held her hand. From this day forward, I looked into her eyes. I, Lin Zhao, will strictly fulfill all duties of a live-in husband. I paused, my voice ringing out loud and clear, and freeload all the way to the end. The entire venue went blank for a second, then erupted into thunderous applause and laughter. Gu Zihao whistled frantically down on the floor. Su Yurong leaned on his shoulder, laughing hysterically, and Bai Yichen covered his face helplessly, yet a smile tugged at the corners of his mouth. Bai Zuiwei's face flushed red, her eyes welling up with tears again. Without saying another word, she tossed away her bouquet, threw herself into my arms, and hugged me tightly. Lin Zhao, you big dummy, she whispered softly in my ear. As long as it's freeloading off me, I've got you covered forever. I held her tight amidst falling petals and applause, leaning down to kiss her. The end.